Hello guys. Welcome to Diablo the Primordial. This video is the continuation video after Rimuru in Trouble, so if you have not watched it, then please watch it. The link is in the description. And please check out my second channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. So without any further delay, let's start. But before we start, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates. In the end, Yuki and Rimuru were enemies. Simultaneously, when Rimuru invoked magic nullification, Yuki activated the trick that he had put inside his prosthetic left hand. The arm smoothly transformed and unleashed the magic circles engraved on it at Rimuru. Then, the phenomenon was rewritten and converged into one magic spell. The ultimate magic arts that never could be activated by one person. Chronosaltation, the ultimate super space-time magic that forced the target to leap to space where time had ended. The magic was formed by swallowing up all of the energy that filled the place and even the raging quakes in time. Then, with that immeasurable energy, it took Rimuru away to the end of time and space. Even all of Rimuru's clones were completely swallowed up by the space-time continuum. If the soul corridor wasn't closed, Rimuru's subordinates and even Velgrind might also become the target of the magic. All kind of resistance was futile against the terrifying and compelling force of this magic. Chronosaltation was impossible to be activated by Yuki alone. The reason was simple. It was compound magic that required the activation of at least two or more magic at the same time. Moreover, the magic needed to be activated simultaneously by those with the exact same properties and qualities. What Yuki had put inside his prosthesis arm was a simple ultimate spell formula. The effect was a reversal. It was a spell formula to reverse the target's magic effect. Primitive magic was a magic that reflected the user's will, and it wouldn't just activate because Yuki understood what kind of magic to use. Just by wishing it, the phenomenon was invoked. This characteristic was the reason why it was called as the ultimate magic. By limiting the magic that Rimuru could use with time stop just now, Yuki was able to induce Rimuru to activate magic that he desired. The magic that Rimuru activated was simple and plain. That was nullification. It was impossible to stop the magic if Rimuru were to try to analyze the magic that Yuki activated. Given the time differences, the nullification wouldn't catch up at the same time as Yuki activated his magic. Yuki thought that way. Instead, Yuki induced Rimuru's thoughts while showing his trump card and directed Rimuru to act like that in this situation. Then, just as Yuki had planned, Rimuru would activate the magic. Everything was prepared by Yuki, and he had forced Rimuru to act splendidly, exactly as he wanted. In the space where Genesis-class energy collided and spacetime quakes occurred, Yuki had used spacetime magic, time stop. Originally, there was no meaning of stopping time in Suspended World. It was impossible to stop further of what had stopped. However, the circumstances were different this time due to Yuki's trick. In order to nullify Yuki's magic, Rimuru had activated magic that had the same energy but with the opposite properties of Yuki's magic. His magic was reversed by Yuki's trick and transformed to magic with the same energy and properties as Yuki's magic. By doing this, Yuki met the conditions for activating chronosaltation. Even if he added time stop to another time stop, the effect wouldn't change. However, it would cause drastic changes if he multiplied it. Bathed in the flow of all time and received the repulsion of the space that tried to fix itself, the target was sent to beyond time. To the end of time and space. A void in the far-off future where the end of time and space overlapped. If he couldn't defeat him, he only had to put off the issue. That was the decision Yuki had made. Rimuru was able to rival him, or maybe even surpass him. To fight head-on against a super-level being like Rimuru would be sheer stupidity. The answer to that was sending Rimuru to the future and destroying the world in that chance. At the very end, the difficulty of the game to destroy the world, which used to be boring and easy, jumped up insanely, but Yuki only felt happiness now that he had cleared it. Yuki was very happy and showed a smile from the bottom of his heart. The time stop was cancelled at the same moment as Rimuru disappeared. Without waiting for anything, those left behind moved all together. Most of them didn't understand exactly what had happened in front of their eyes. However, the fact that Rimuru had disappeared was the only thing they could understand clearly. Well, I had sent the biggest obstacle for a trip to the future. This is a checkmate, right? Yuki declared while sprouting a faint smile. Hearing that, Milam looked as if she was about to cry. Rimuru has disappeared. Ramirez was angry by the grieving mutters of Milam. Without Ramirez herself being aware, her figure rapidly transformed into an adult. If it's Rimuru, he will surely be okay. Let's defeat him, and quickly called Rimuru back here. Ramirez shouted. Strength returned to Milam's eyes as she heard those words. Yeah, you're right. Let's do it, Ramirez. Yup. The two made their decision. Milam stood up once more with renewed strength. Even Gaia, who was on her shoulder, glared at Yuki too. Next to Milam stood Ramirez, who had grown into a beautiful adult. She focused her consciousness to activate the primitive magic that could modify the laws of the world. As for the other people, guess we've no other choice but to do it. He looks like an unbelievable beast, but it would be quite fun to go out seriously if this is our last after all. Hee hee, it's really been a while, Guy. I won't leave your side until the end. Phew, even though I especially got revived and wanted to see what the world was like now, well, it can't be helped as things turned out this way. Velgrind, if we survived, will you show me the world then? Rudra, you idiot. Searching for your reincarnation is more important than the world. And also, I think you should realize that you didn't get revived, you know. Kufufufu. It's impossible for Rimuru-sama to be defeated, but let's hold the fort in his absence. Yeah, Sensei might have some ulterior motive, but it won't be useless if we defeat him. Each of them said their respective thoughts and all together faced Yuki. Then, they unleashed their deadly attacks filled with their entire beings toward Yuki. Everything was as Yuki expected. Right now, Yuki could use all skills because of Origin Skill Information Ruler Akashic Record. In other words, he could even devour energy completely using gluttonous Lord Beelzebub. Yuki sprouted a dark smile as the mass of energy enough to destroy the world was approaching in front of him. As I suspected, I imagined that it might be impossible for me to ever understand this idiot. I can't comprehend something like him wanting to destroy the world just because of the misfortunes he experienced when he was young. Experiencing misfortunes and accidents, that isn't exclusively just Yuki's story alone. Not everyone lived happily. Some people lived finely by overcoming their misfortunes. If I were to say, I guess my life was a happy one, so if I was asked, I doubt that I can really understand the feelings of those with unhappy lives. However, I can affirm that involving other people because of his own unhappiness is clearly wrong. People are not created equal. People might be able to treat each other as equal as much as they can within this world system, but it can't be denied that there's a difference in innate abilities. If you think in that sense, a world where everyone in this world can equally enjoy peace and happiness, something like that can only exist in fantasy. That's why you wouldn't be wrong if you called this world incomplete. Even Velda, who tried to create a world completely tuned to his likings, could only be called a fool who can't understand Veldanava's ideals. However, even beyond him, Yuki, who thinks that it's better to end and destroy everything, has a way of thinking that is too childish and immature. He is a rash person and only supports his own ideas without taking any kind of responsibilities. As I expected, Yuki is a fool that I'm incompatible with. The world was cruel, but it granted you everything. That was the world that Veldanava had created. He, who was alone in the empty space, couldn't bear the solitude. That was the reason why he created the world, in order to distract himself from the boredom. Then, just as Veldanava wished for, life was born in this world, and beings began to act freely and asserted their wills. Finally, after a long time, humankind was born as a vessel for the soul with free will and high intellect. Veldanava was thrilled. For Veldanava, who had been bored with the world of emptiness, even just observing the activities of life was fun, but the activities of the creatures called human beings were even more stirring for him. However, there was also a problem. Humans who acquired intellect stimulated each other and took unpredictable actions. If he left them unattended, they would immediately begin to fight against each other and would walk on the path of self-destruction. Several other worlds were born, but he could see that all of them had similar tendencies. Emotions were always the cause. Emotions were something that had been given to them and was necessary to give people the stimulus to develop even further, but emotions that had grown unchecked tended to reject the opinions of others. Different ideas gave rise to various forms of justices, Veldanava pondered. He decided to accept such phenomena were some necessary evils and the way of the world as a training ground for the soul. If humans were to be controlled completely, conflicts would disappear. However, they would lose the stimulus from emotions and the world would end up as a dystopia, where people were all equal but without free will. such a world was not what Veldanava desired. After that, he experimented many times and tried to develop humans into the direction that he hoped for. The conditions in many of the parallel worlds minutely deviated from one another, which led them to achieve different evolutions. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you guys have not watched my earlier videos, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And please check out my other channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. And don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.